Good afternoon. Welcome to our series, the last segment of our series, Straight Talk Business 102, Session 3. Straight Talk was designed by the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization to provide some insight to you as a business owner. This is straight talk, not government talk. This series has focused on the administrative and operational aspects of the small and growing business. Today, in this third and final series, we will discuss franchising and if it is for you. That being said, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of VA OSDBU leadership, we thank you for attending today's training. My name is Dr. Nicole Hines, and I am the Federal Lead for Communications in OSDBU. Joining me today are my colleagues, Mr. Curtis Brandon, Ms. Wendy Bray, and our facilitator, Dr. Linda Williams. Before I begin, just a few housekeeping notes. First, this session is being recorded. A copy of the presentation and recording will be made available to you and uploaded on YouTube for your viewing pleasure within 48 hours. Second, our format for this session will be slightly different today. At the conclusion of Dr. Williams' talk, we will go into a dedicated live question and answer period. If you recall, a solicitation for questions went out weeks leading up to this session. Dr. Williams will be addressing those questions in this session as well as taking questions from the audience. Please note, she will only be addressing business-related questions. No contract or contract-specific questions will be entertained in this forum. As a reminder, when submitting your questions, please direct to all presenters so your question is not missed. We will attempt to answer as many questions in this session. However, to be respectful of time, if we cannot get to every question here today, you will receive a response via email within a few days. Finally, at the end, a survey window will appear. You are encouraged to complete this survey as your responses will be used as part of our continual service improvement effort. In closing, I end by saying to all veterans in attendance, thank you for your service. We will now begin our training, and at this point, the training is now in the hands of Dr. Linda Williams.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. I am so glad to be here today, although this is our last segment in this series. Today, we will cover some things that are frequently thought about, but never researched, or there may have been some experiences by some when it comes to the issue of franchising. Hopefully, you've had a chance to attend some of these series individual classes, and if not, they will provide you, the team will provide you with those links at the end of this session. Franchising, by definition, is what we're going to cover today, the strategy, and I'm going to open the floor for questions and answers pertaining to that, and also any other intimate business questions that you may have or need some clarity on. We do have information on franchising on our OSDBU website, and we will also provide that link, and I will talk to you separately about what you can find on the SBA website as well. That'll give you a little bit more detail into the opportunities that are offered by established companies and other franchises. One of the things you have to consider when you are deciding to franchise is, first of all, is it good for you? Is it something that you may want to do? It's a model that involves one business owner licensing trademarks and methods to an independent entrepreneur. Meaning, we know that McDonald's are franchises, but they have independent owners. They have a structured and manner in which they can run their business based on the trademark methods that are already in place for that particular franchise. And it's the same if you went out and bought a cleaning franchise or a winery franchise or, any type of franchise concept. There is a twofold interest in franchising, and we will move to the second type a little bit later on in this conversation. The primary forms of franchising is product trade name franchising and business format franchising, with the first being that you own the name and the right or trademark and sells that right to a franchisee, which means if you're doing something that you have developed yourself and or added a line of product or service to an existing relationship you have with a particular company or distribution system, you can take that item and you can trademark it. It's yours. You can use it under your name. And therefore, if someone uses it like your primary manufacturer, they would have to pay you royalties on use or of that trademark or that name. Business format franchising, the franchisor and the franchisee have an ongoing relationship, and the franchisor often provides a full range of services, including site selection, training, product supply, marketing plans, and even assistance in obtaining financing. And that's your normal franchise. That's your uh, McDonald's, some of the bigger names in industry. There are, however, um, in that type instance with name uh, extended franchises, there's usually royalties that have to be paid to them for use of their name. There are franchises that you can buy with all of the included. However, you pay a one-time fee and you never owe them royalties. Um, so there are two different types. Franchising strategy. You need a strategy before investing in a franchise. Do your homework about the franchise first, and that will help you gain a solid understanding of what to expect as well as the risks that could be involved. Franchising is just like anything else, except for it gives you a little head start on that particular industry. Um, they already have market information. Um, they already have a plan of implementation to attack the marketplace and get your product sold quicker or your service sold quicker. Um, they offer, advertising packages and all kinds of little other things, equipment and so forth. Um, but the relationship can be challenging between a franchisor and the franchisee, um, because they do have standards, they do have rules, which means if you own a Burger King, you can't put, an Applejack burger in there named after you because that's not within their guidelines. So there are things that you have to understand before you make that decision. Name recognition is one of the major things that you try to do as a individual person when you're trying to sell. Um, when you're trying to sell to a external entity, what comes with this is that people already know that name is already cemented in the industry, in that particular industry, so the challenges are not there. Um, So there are some opportunities. Now, where this may hurt the SDVOSB and VOSB in the small business is because it's a franchise concept, it's considered large, even though you're an independent buyer. So that would mean you would lose that status. So there's risk. There's also advantages. The important points to consider is first, you have to be a detective. You got to dig deep into whatever franchise you are considering buying. Look at several within the realm of the area that you want to do business. Um, Look at your area, look at your competition, how well they're doing, how loyal are their customers, where you live, um, because if you bring in a franchise in the wrong place, um, your surrounding community may not, visit it because it's a small community and they see franchises as outsiders. So, you have to do a lot of research, and that's what the SBA can help you do as well because they've done a lot of research on the authorized franchises that they allow you to go out and get quicker than those that are not on their list. Know what you are getting into. Before entering into any contract as a franchisee, you should make sure that you would have the right to use the franchise name and trademark, receive training and management assistance from the franchisor, use the franchisor's experience in marketing, advertising, facility, design, layouts, displays, and fixtures, and do business in an area protected from other competing franchisees. You don't want to be around the corner from another McDonald's. Um, you don't want to be around the corner from another Walmart because you're cutting your profit in half. So as they say, location, location, location. It's one of the biggest things that you have to look at and with marketing, you want to make sure that the franchise package that you're looking at when you're doing some of your comparisons, that they have automatic marketing, that they do advertising. That's part of your franchise fee. That they do the building of the facility. Any layouts or displays and fixtures that they provide that in your master franchise fee. Um, and of course, your surrounding areas. How do they address that? And what's the legalities of the surrounding area? Because some malls and locations do not allow competition in the same type of business. I was reading an article the other day where there was a franchisee that built was really at the very end of their building, and they got sued by another chicken business that was around the corner because they had signed a agreement before that particular area was built, was bought by someone else that said they would not have competition for 20 years. So it's important to make sure that your attorney and or the person that you're having look at existing agreements with other companies that are like yours, sell the same type of foods, don't have uh, a head start, not a head start, but a obligation to that particular surrounding area, or miles or whatever it may be. So, one of the things that I wanted to also talk to you about briefly is, when you're looking at doing these type of things and where the industry and the world is moving forward to, and that would be manufacturing. We're going back into the uh, arena of being able to supply U.S. made products and so forth. So expanding your interest into things that if you're going to deal with the government and any agency, be it DOD or, you know, um, any of the 200 that we have, because that's how many we do have, subsectors and so forth, to see what they need to do better. What in manufacturing that you can develop and or get money for to develop that will help um, you in the quest of expanding your business and possibly franchise that product yourself, if that's where you're going later on down the line and trademark it. So do we have some questions, Nicole
So,
Curtis?
yeah, I see one question here. It says, "Good afternoon." Um, let's see. Oh, okay. No, no. They were just saying good afternoon. So there's no questions. But you are welcome at this time to the audience. This is the designated, we've moved into the designated Ask the Doctor period of this training. Any questions that you have, please feel free to put them in the chat. Again, no contract specific or contract questions will be entertained, but anything as it relates to franchising or business in general, please drop your questions in the chat for an answer.
And while you're doing that, I do want to provide the information I stated earlier. On the SBA website, which we will provide the link to, there's a list of pre-approved franchises that the SBA will back. There are several different loans that you can use to do so, but it expedites your ability to obtain one of these franchises because it's listed. There's 190 pages of franchises for everything from every field that you can think of, even licensing. And when I say that, if you're in the business of, if you have a store, for instance, a gas station, they license, petroleum franchises, and you can go through them to get the money for that. So it's quicker. There's also veteran-based franchises that give you a substantial discount if you should want to purchase a franchise. So those things are something that you would want to take a look at and may very well be a path that you can take to start your expanding your business of what you want to do or you have experience in. All right, were there any
Okay.
questions here?
Yes, so we have actually two. First question is, can you have both a 7A loan and another government loan at the same time?
It depends on what that government loan is and the stipulations of your 7A loan. For instance, even if we go back to the franchise concept, some of the franchises that's listed on there are only there during the PPP loan period. So there's probably about 40 out of those 190 pages. So you can get help with that particular franchise only during the PPP loan period. So yes, if you had a 7A loan and you were considering a franchise and it's still listed as a PPP open season franchise, you can buy it during that time. Okay. Those will be removed once that period of time is over, but yes, you can.
Thank you. We have
Mhm.
another question here. I wonder about the specifics of what franchises may be exempt from size standards.
Any franchise is exempt from size standards because it's a large business. Okay, so if if you're going to franchise with a now, okay, this is twofold, all right? And I'll explain it to you this way. If you got a major chain of, we'll use restaurants, that's just the easiest, and you become a franchisee, you're owner of that restaurant, but you're following the guidelines as a franchisee. Okay, they are the franchisor. You pay them royalties for the use of their stuff. You are a large business. They're the ones that are one time buy. which means you're not going to pay them royalties monthly. Um, you use your own name of your company, but you use the material and the guidelines that they've set forth to establish your own company under their name and their products that's labeled under, as your particular company. That's different. Okay. So those differences you have to discuss with the SBA because there's affiliation issues and so forth when it comes to and management issues. For instance, if you buy McDonald's and you don't follow their rules, they'll close you. Okay, they have that powers in their franchise agreement. However, if you buy ABC, say bond services, and your company is going to be called, the Ultimate Bond Services, you're using their concept, their regulatory stuff, or buying a license for something specific within that bonding program, it's yours. Okay, so you would fit the size standards based on the SBA rules. But if you're buying a true franchise, where you're paying fees and there's a master contract in place between you and them, they control how you act. Let's put it like that. They control what you do, what you can serve, where your location can be, then it's a large business by that affiliation. Okay.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions. Curtis, do you see anything? Um, okay, wait a minute. Let's see. All right, and I think we may have answered this, but I'll ask it. Does commercial companies have to have any government incentives to do business with SDVOSBs?
Okay. Does a company have to have any incentives to do? Are you talking about private entities?
To the person who wrote that, yes, they said yes.
No. There's no statutory requirement. There are benefits. There's programs out there for private industry to offer reductions on buying things. If it's something that you're buying, business concept or whatever, for veterans, they get paid for that. They also, if they hire veterans, they get paid for that as well. There's a federal program out for that. So you have to research those as well. And sometimes you'll find a list of folks. And then you just ask, do you have, if you buying something, a company or whatever, and you need financing, what do you provide for veterans as a reduction in cost?
Thank you. Another question is for VOSB businesses to expand into non-traditional areas, they may require support in some areas.
Is that the whole question?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's all that's there. To the person who wrote that question, can you expound just a little bit more so that we can get you a clear answer? Okay, while we wait, here's another question. Does the SBA assist veterans in franchise research and trends?
Yes, they do. Um, the link that if you're not online, we are giving you a link to the franchise directory. I also provided a link to uh, an attorney's link for SBA loans and franchises. But if you go to the SBA website, it's quite clear. And you can also, your determining factor is, first of all, do not ever put anything in that you're going to be dependent on for a living in someone else's hands. So you either hire a attorney and you guide them on the information that you need and you check the information that they give you. Um, franchises are, if they're not home based, are very dependent on surrounding areas and the data that you get to really take a look at that. Um, it's very important to do so and who your competition is. And it's not something that you do overnight based on the type of franchise that you have. You know, you got the 7-Elevens that, you can franchise. But if you got 4 quick stops on the corner, I call them quick stops, convenience stores, on the corner, and you put one up the street and people have to drive by those 4 before they get to you, what use or what business are you losing because those people are driving by 4 before they get to you? So some of the things are common sense matters, but yeah, the SBA can assist you. And you should always have your own attorney, a franchise attorney, look at the documentation as well to make sure that you're getting your answers and that you feel comfortable before making an ultimate decision.
Thank you. So the person who had the question on providing or on VOSBs expanding and requiring support, they expanded out just a little and they say we've been providing facilities management services. We began as a construction manager to billion-dollar firms. So if you remember, the beginning part of that was for VOSB businesses to expand into non-traditional areas. They may require support in some areas, and they followed up with they've been providing facility management services. They began as a construction manager to billion-dollar firms.
Okay, so I'm going to make the assumption what they're talking about is just increasing business. Um, and that's due to your market research as well. You have to look at your current business process and what you want to extend into without drowning yourself. A business who expands too quickly can also destroy their business model because they then lose touch with what they've already established. So,
Mr. Williams, I'm
yeah.
sorry. They added some more context. They say we use VA's own managers to learn their business models. We now want to consider using assisted nursing homes to do similar.
Okay, I'll mute that person because I want to make sure that I answered this correctly. So I'll
Okay.
mute them so they can give me
All right.
a more of a.
Let's see here. Um, all right. Hold on.
Hello.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Mute all. Mute all. Okay. All right. Let me see. Find participant. And it is Paul Curtis. Okay. Uh, let's see here. Paul Curtis. Um, participant. Ah, okay. Mr. Brandon, could you help me try to find this person? I'm plugging them in, but I'm not pulling them up for whatever reason.
Hey, Nicole, do you see him on the attendee list?
Let's see here. I went to the participant list. Hold on.
Yeah, click on view all attendees. We'll
Okay.
start the
Let's
land
see.
right there.
Wait a minute. Let's see. So I would go into participant, find
Yep, and just go
participant.
and click view all attendees. And
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry.
that's all right.
Um, okay. Um, let me see. Event participant. Find
On the right,
participant.
right there. Yeah, just click on the arrow, the drop down where it says participant, having the numbers on your right hand side.
Okay, let me see. Chat. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, all attendees.
View all attendees. Click on that.
Mm, okay. All right, I found them.
Then go all the way to the right, and you can hit the mute button, the microphone unmute.
Okay, let's see. Oh. Uh-oh. Can I turn this over for you to do? I can't.
Yeah,
Seems
you gotta
to
make me the host. I can do it.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Make presenter.
I gotta make me the host.
Okay, I didn't see where I could do that. I made you the presenter though.
Yeah, I still can't take them off mute though.
Okay, let's see. Participant. Okay,
Let me
hold
see.
on.
You see at the bottom where it says participant, go down and say host role.
Mm-mm.
1 second, everybody.
Okay. Just okay. I think I found it.
Okay.
Okay, let me see.
Okay, so while
Okay.
they're trying to figure that out, um, I'll give you a couple examples of expanding your business. Okay. Um,
I got it, Dr. Williams. He should be
okay.
unmuted. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes,
Mr.
that's
Curtis.
correct.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about, we progressed in 25 years as a construction manager to a program manager. We used the VA's own big clients to duplicate their business model in my firm. And considering the fact that the COVID has changed the healthcare dynamic, that healthcare is always going to be on the front burner for the foreseeable future. And we think it's a good business idea to expand in other services, yet still in the healthcare realm. We know about facilities. We don't have specific knowledge of the operation of assisted living facilities, but some of my family members do. Four of my family members happen to be registered nurses. So what I'm thinking is expanding the business uh, further into the healthcare realm. But I think maybe it's affiliation or affiliation type rules, but I don't think that business owners should be typecast into a model, whatever it is, construction or or something else, after a certain amount of time, we have earned the right in the marketplace, excuse me, to expand and diversify. We've been denied that for many moons. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, you can have 900 verified companies. There's nothing that says that you can't. So if you're going to do if you're going to go into the healthcare business, then you open up a healthcare firm, get a healthcare um LLC or S corp, and you operate it. There's nothing that says that you can't expand. Those four particular individuals that are family members, you have to sit them down and you say, listen, what do you find? There's questions, of course, that you need to have answered, because duplication is not the key. Um, if you're going to do this on your own and not use a concept that's already established, you need to sit down and find a niche and what is not being offered. And if those four individuals are coming from different parts of the medical, providing nursing services to different types of medical field arenas, then you can sit down and say, what are you not seeing? What do we don't do? Okay. Over the years, what have you seen that's changed, but it's become stagnant? You know, and you write those things down. Then you look at to see what it's going to cost you to fix them. And that's where you develop your own model. But if you just want to offer generalized services to address what's already out there in the marketplace, you have to decide which thing you're going to do. It's one thing. People are dying today that never died before. So owning a funeral home is one thing that you never have to worry about going out of business with. Okay, so if you're talking about elder care, there's going to be more people in 2030 that's, it's going to be 80% elderly. Okay, folks in the world. So are you going to do elder care, and what are you going to do in elder care? Are you just going to provide companionship? Are you going to provide companionship and meal preparation, or do you want to open a facility? Facilities are based on payments from other sources. So those are things that you need to understand as well. You got Medicaid, Medicare, you have private insurance. It's a lot of logistics to providing health care to elderly or long-term residents, young or old. Okay. So you have to put those models down there independently and see which one is beneficial and how hard and long um, it's going to take for you to get where you want to be. And you still have competition and name recognition, So hopefully I'm answering your question correctly. Is that the information that you're looking for?
Well, we're just trying to craft a business plan at this time. So we got a long way to go, but these are my family members, so they ain't going anywhere. I mean, at least it's a difficult enough task just to get 3 or 4 people on the same page uh, for a big concept. Now, like I said, we got a long way to go to work through the details of how do you do such a thing. How can I use money in my corporation to fund somebody else's corporation? My banks and my bonding companies might have something to say about that. I mean, you got to please a lot of people to do this kind of a thing. You got to please some people to do anything. And then, of course, yeah, the government, in order to get preference, the government has some requirements. So yeah, I'm looking at it, but that's the whole thing in a nutshell.
Well, it's if you're talking about for people that understand business, their business, which is nursing, then your second company may need to be a franchise. You got 4 nurses that can walk in the door and operate it, and they know their craft. They can bring in people, and you got the traveling nurse folks. You got all of these people that are in within their industry. So, and they understand the lingo and the language. So, and the models. So that's something that does not have to be associated with your independent company that you own now. It does not require your bonding company that you use now, and it does not require the money in the bank that you have now. Okay, so those are separate things. Never look at the government as your sole source of income. You look at the entity, because the entity should extend past the federal government into the private sector, and then internationally if that's where you want to take it. But take in and look at, for that particular part of it, the healthcare, look at the franchise. That's easy. That's already established policies, procedures, location, place. Um, you can look at that concept. And that way everybody can do their part or their share as far as um, contribution um, to establish those policies and procedures for that company. If there's any monetary requirements, then you go through the SBA. You pick one of those franchises that's on there that's healthcare related, and they can help you get the loan. That's separate from what you're currently doing right now. The facilities management intelligence that you have to keep that place up and running without the expenses of having to go out and locate someone else, or you have those people to do it. Or if you want to build it yourself on a piece of land that you have, um, then that's something that you work out with the um, the franchise that you're going to use their concept for. But that they shouldn't be mixed together. It's 2 different businesses. There are
Thank you.
people that do C-Box that do not deal with regular construction activity. So because they're in the hospital and provider business. So, you have to, I guess, pick what you want to do. Is okay.
All right. So this looks like a statement. The
hmm
person can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll bring them to the mic. They say assisted living is highly regulated. Highly regulated. I operate 3 locations, and what is needed to succeed is much different.
And that is correct. That's what I just expressed. It's a different world, all dependent on what you do. Okay, assisted living is different than providing, building, say, C-Box and providing that type of service to the community, or retirement homes where people have in-home care, nurses and all that on staff, but they have residential apartments. There are 100 different models that are out there. It's just dependent on what you want to do. Now, if you want to take your to the gentleman that I was speaking to previously, if you want to take your expertise in building and build you a facility and provide those services, residential services that has extended care for nurses that are privately paid, uh, that's different. Okay, so just got to look at the models and what's out there in the industry. There another question?
I'm looking now and I don't see any other questions.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, if you have not already listened to the previous sessions, There's some good information in there on how to structure, align, and your business concepts. Today was just a little add-in on some other opportunities that are out there to expand what you previously have, but also allow you another opportunity or realignment of your current processes and put it into a franchise concept. So I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be very safe. All right, Nicole, is back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Williams, for that presentation. For anyone who did not have questions, and you suddenly have some after the presentation, feel free to send an email to the email address that was provided, uh, when you registered for this particular webinar. At this time, we just want to remind you that there is a quick survey at the end of this presentation. We encourage you to complete the survey because it helps us with our continuous service improvements. And I will echo Dr. Williams in saying thank you for your time today and have a wonderful holiday and New Year.